A huge aspect of the divine feminine, which is something that I've been practicing for a couple years now, is her diving into her inner work, her traumas, the deepest, darkest parts of her soul. At her rawest form, without consciousness, without any integration into her light energy, she is literally chaos. Like, she is literally like, just yummy. Hi, baby. What you looking at? Today's video is going to get a little raunchy. I'm excited. I'm excited for the raunch. So over the past like week to 2 weeks, I've been having extremely vivid dreams. Now, mind you, I am the type of person that I get a lot of vivid dreams, but the dreams that I've been having recently have been extremely vivid. I've been finding myself kind of doing inner work in my sleep. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but I think partially it has something to do with me going to sleep, saying affirmations, and listening to sacral chakra music. So doing those two things, I found myself doing inner work in my sleep, like working through things in my subconscious in my sleep, and like being aware of it while I'm asleep. Okay, so I've been waking up out of those sleeps with like downloads that'll hit me as soon as I get up. So this video is going to be about this download that I received the other night, or the other day when I arose. And the message that came through when I got up was, feminine energy, be a creature of the night. So it was telling me that feminine energy was a creature in the night. Okay. So in honor of today's video, I wrote down some notes in my journal. This was a very interesting download though. The things that came through, I understood them because of the research that I've done on feminine energy and like the deep understanding that I have with the feminine beyond what's taught in today's like feminine energy era. I kind of was having a conversation with God the other day because, if I'm just being completely honest, I feel like a lot of the stuff that is what the feminine truly is, and I mean what she truly is at her rawest form, I feel like a lot of that stuff may not be okay to just be said out onto a public platform like YouTube, because I've learned on my journey that with great power comes great responsibility, and with great knowledge comes great responsibility. Me diving as deep as I have into learning things about not just the feminine, but about a lot of stuff, a lot of things pertaining to our just being in existence, I genuinely feel like everything is not just okay to be said out on the internet. So I have to use my discernment and my heart to guide me through this message, so that I'm making sure that what I'm saying is okay for the just general public to hear, right? Everything that's going to be said is factual and can obviously be researched and looked into. Like, this is stuff that is true to the feminine. But what I feel is that women, people in general, but since my channel is geared to women that may not have done as much inner work that I've done, or that just may not be in a level of consciousness to fully digest these things, may take some of these things and use them in a way that is not, that I'm not trying to deliver it, right? They may use these things in a way that could be harmful to other people, and I don't want that to happen. That's not my intention. So that's why I'm saying I want to use my discernment to guide me throughout this message, so that I make sure that what I am putting out into the public is good to be received. The divine feminine is of the dark energy. She is dark. She is of the night, hence creature of the night. So when we talk about light and dark energy, we're essentially talking about consciousness and the void. So consciousness, which is light energy, is masculine, and the void, which is dark energy, is feminine. The whole concept of light feminine and dark feminine is kind of weird. Essentially, what we're talking about is the void integrated with consciousness. So that's a whole like thing in itself. But to just emphasize the fact that feminine energy is dark. So what that means is that the feminine is mystery and chaos and rebellion. She doesn't really like to follow the rules because there are no rules. There is no structure to the feminine. There is no structure to that void. It's kind of just like this endless bound of darkness. Like, for example, if you can just imagine if you're like in a car or if you're walking late at night and there's no street lights, imagine being engulfed in like this just energy and scenery of darkness. Like, you just have no view of where you're going, what's going on. You probably hear some sounds, some creatures, you can't see anything. You might get a little panicked and scary. Like, that is the feminine. And I know that sounds kind of weird, especially to what is taught today when it comes to feminine energy, but that's what feminine energy is. At her rawest form, without consciousness, without any integration into her light energy, she is literally chaos. Like, she is literally like just yummy. Since the feminine is not related to structure, the idea of control does not necessarily exist, right? So the feminine is more related to this energy of being open-minded and fluid, like water. So if you watch like the ocean, if you watch the waves, you realize that each wave is not consistent and the energy of the water is never consistently the same way. So depending on the weather, depending on the time of the year, depending on a bunch of things, the energy in the water and the movement of the water can always range and be different, moldable and bendable to how you feel. And this is feminine at the rawest form. Keep in mind. So you don't find yourself like trying to micromanage or control anything or be super like meticulous with a lot of things, because it's just this energy of literally freedom. So honestly, it's actually quite funny because I question something. Now, I want to throw this in here. We hear a lot of times in relation to men, and I'm pretty sure a lot of women have heard this before, the concept that men value their freedom, and like the number one thing that men want is like their freedom. Into my body, it doesn't really resonate with me because the masculine is of structure and having things like step by step in order, and the masculine is also of knowing. Like, if you realize, a lot of men don't like surprises. Like, a lot of men don't like not knowing what's going to happen next because they like to know. Like, they like the sun. They like to be able to be aware and to see what's going on. And that's an evolutionary thing because of hunter-gatherers and like when they had to protect and provide, right? They had to be able to hunt. So it's just quite interesting that there's this energy of freedom related to the masculine, when in reality, the element of freedom is kind of more connected to the feminine. It's just very interesting to me. It's just like, I feel like in our society, we've been conditioned to believe that like women want to be the ones in relationship and want to be the ones married and want to be the ones kept. But if you study and look into energies at their rawest forms, the masculine is the more structural being, and the feminine is the more free-flowing, fluid being. So I don't know, right? This is just from my research and what I've witnessed in both the masculine and the feminine, and what my body tells me. Because even when I watch men in relationship dynamics, when a man is with a woman in her masculine, he tends to want freedom. When a man is with a woman that is in her feminine energy, he's the one that's like attracted to her and magnetized towards her and like all up on her, while she's just living her life and doing her thing. Masculine energy is not the freedom energy. Masculine energy is the energy that gets things done no matter what. Masculine energy is the energy that is of sacrifice, because they do what they have to do in order to protect and provide for their family. And feminine energy is the energy of pleasure and fluidity. So how can masculine energy be of freedom? That doesn't really make much sense to me. But who am I, right? Just who am I? So if you guys have ever heard of like the yin and the yang, so the yin, which is feminine energy, she is the dark side. So if you've ever seen the circle with the little split, the yang is the light side, the feminine is the dark side, and the feminine is representative of the body. So if we want to integrate chakras into this, right? Now, mind you, this is a little wonky because each chakra has a different energy, masculine and feminine, and it tends to go in a sequence. So like the root chakra is known to be masculine, the sacral is meant to be feminine, the solar plexus is meant to be masculine, the heart is meant to be feminine, and so forth. And that's kind of how like the chakras work when it comes to the seven chakra system. But if you look at the body in itself, the physical body from the neck down is represented by the feminine, and then from the neck up is represented by the masculine. So if you take from the root chakra to the heart chakra, that part of the body is the feminine. And the reason why is because when you're in your feminine energy, you're embodied into your energy, you're embodied into your body. So you're not constantly in your head and thinking and calculating and analyzing, but you're living freely in tune with your body. You can feel the energy in your body, you can feel the energy in your chakras, you can feel when there's something kind of blocking you and it feels a little icky. You are super in tune with what brings you pleasure, super in tune with your intuition, and you can hear when your body is telling you it likes something or it doesn't. That's the feminine. Now, in my life, if I'm being completely honest right now, that's what I'm learning to integrate. And I've gotten so good with this. And it's just very surprising to me, being someone who was like completely numbed, like body numb, and like really, really in my head, to someone who now can get myself to a point where I literally have no thoughts at all, or like my mind is really quiet until I choose to think something, or I may have something playing in my head, but it'll be like a passive thought. Like I won't really pay much attention to it because I'm so like present in the moment and present in my body and like who I'm with and stuff like that. So it's just very interesting because I was never that type of person. I'm still practicing it. Like I have my days, and it's definitely better when I do my meditations and stuff, when I'm doing what I need to do, right? But when I'm not, I can find myself reverting. So note to self, do what you're supposed to do. Also, when it comes to feminine energy, she is connected to the unknown, which also connects her to this energy of trust. And baby, when I tell you I struggled with this, baby, I tell you, like I used to be in such fight or flight. Like I needed to know everything. I don't care. Like if someone was coming to pick me up, I needed to know when they left the house, like what time they left the house, so I can like have a calculated amount of time to like, it was just a hot mess. And when it comes to the feminine energy, she is of the unknown because she's connected to the spiritual realm. She's the void, she's the darkness. You can't see anything when you're encompassed by her. So of course she's the unknown, right? And when you're connected to that type of an energy, you have to have yourself integrated with trust, because how can you move forward if you can't see anything and you don't trust to take a step, right? That doesn't really make sense. So and this is related to a whole other thing, like being able to collapse time and quantum leap and a lot of stuff, because when you're connected to your feminine, which is your intuitive element of the unknown, you can make steps that are in alignment with your spirit and your soul, which is the feminine, and you can reach things quicker and faster because you're not doing that step-by-step masculine thing. The feminine is also related to change and transformation, and this is very funny, and I'm not going to get into this completely, but I have to make a note that this energy of change and transformation and the feminine is connected to the element of a snake. And it's just very funny because how snakes are viewed in our time today, you know, even the phrase, oh, you're a snake, you can see what I mean, right? And in religious texts and a lot of stuff, but the snake represents change and transformation because how it sheds its skin. And even when you connect that to the energy of like a kundalini awakening, which I've actually had, at the base of the spine is represented by a snake. I just think that it's funny that the snake has been made to be viewed as it is today, when technically that's not really true. But that's with a lot of things, like even the number 6, and this is all in my notes, so I'll just say it now. Even the number 6, even Friday the 13th, even the witch trials. Like there's a lot of stuff in our history that has been made to be viewed as a certain way, but it's just because it was dark feminine energy. I don't think that the public can like handle this information the way that it needs to be handled, because it has to be handled with a level of consciousness, with a level of that light energy. So when it comes to the feminine, this is a very controversial thing that I'm going to say, but I'm in all red, so let's just do it, right? An energy that's connected with the feminine is the energy of putting yourself first. Now, I know I don't want to hear it. I know, but I don't want to hear it. The reality is that the feminine is very, very good at knowing what she wants, connecting to her desires, and making sure that she does what she needs to do and treats herself as such so that she can get what she wants, basically. And since the feminine is connected with this energy of being filled up, she's the void. When consciousness enters the void, when masculine enters the feminine, it creates life, obviously. So the feminine is the energy of being filled up. So since she's in the energy of being filled up, she's very connected to her desires and what she wants, because she basically magnetizes and attracts to her and is filled up with the things that she desires. With her doing that, she's able to create and multiply. Like if you've ever heard this phrase, and I know I'm going to butcher it, it's something like give a woman something and she's going to multiply it. Give a woman something and she's going to beautify it. That's the energy of her being filled up and her receiving something and being able to make it more of what it already was. A huge aspect of the divine feminine, which is something that I've been practicing for a couple years now, is her diving into her inner work, her traumas, the deepest, darkest parts of her soul. That is feminine energy. That is a luxury. It is a luxury to be able to take time for yourself, to connect to yourself, to dive into yourself, learn yourself, and evolve and transform yourself. That's a luxury, because when you're in your masculine, you're on the go, getting things done, straightforward, right? Just focused, getting it done. The feminine is able to relax and lean back and receive, so she can have time to do the inner work that's needed to be done, so that the energy in her and around her is good to go. So when the feminine does inner work, it's not just for her. She should do it for her, right? It's for her. It's her body. It's her life. But what I mean is when I do my inner work, it benefits my ancestral lineage and it benefits the people around me. So what I mean by that is, when I'm doing my inner work, I'm breaking generational curses. So automatically I'm releasing a lot of gunk and ickiness connected to my ancestors before me and my babies that are going to come after me, because without me doing this generational untying, this generational trauma releasing, either someone else is going to have to do it, or we're going to keep repeating the same cycles. So that's one way that it benefits me, obviously, but it also benefits the other people in my lineage. And then also, one way that it benefits the people around me is that when other women see me in my divinity, when they see what's possible for me to have and for me to do and for me to receive, that awakens in another woman her divinity. So she's like, okay, like I never knew this was possible, I never knew that this was an option, and that awakens her divinity. Another way is that the divine feminine is an alchemist. So if she's on her path of inner work and transforming herself, she gets very acquainted with the energy of alchemizing things and with being able to transform a lower vibrational thing into a higher vibrational thing. So what this looks like is that she can get to a point where she enters a room and she sparks the room because she's able to transform that energy without even thinking about it. Or she's able to talk to someone and be in someone's presence and raise their vibration and make them feel better, make them feel seen, make them feel just of higher energy because she's alchemizing that energy. That's just what she does. So this is a very huge concept when it comes to the feminine, and when it comes to inner work is alchemy, being able to take nothing and turn it into something. Another thing that's connected to the divine feminine is our menstrual cycle. And this is, oh my gosh, like I could just go on, honey, I could go on about the menstrual cycle, but I'm not going to, because I'm not going to put all of that on YouTube. But our menstrual cycles are so important, y'all. And it's just such a divine connection to the earth and to the void when it comes to our menstrual. And it's just so crazy how we've been conditioned to view our menstruals as something icky, and men have been conditioned to view them as something icky. It's such a sacred time. It's the cleansing that she does with her menstrual cycle, physically, energetically, spiritually, is just so crazy. And the benefits that her menstrual cycle has is just so crazy. Ooh, so another concept of the feminine. Ooh, let's just get into it. Let's just get into it. Another concept of the feminine is being a bitch. I done passed out, honey. Being a bitch. This is looked at as such a negative thing. This is looked at as such a bad thing. But the reason why the feminine is a bitch, mind you, she's a lot of different energies as well, but I'm emphasizing this one because this is the darker energy that a lot of women are afraid to be in. But you have to understand that as the feminine, and as the energy that knows what they want and puts themselves first and has their boundaries and all of that type of stuff, right, expresses themselves, expresses their desires, of course they're going to be a bitch, because being a bee, I don't want to say it too many times, is connected to your boundaries. If anyone has ever encountered having a boundary up for yourself, or having a non-negotiable for yourself, and someone like kind of stepping across that a little bit, and then when you say this doesn't work for me, or it doesn't work for me, like I'm okay or whatever, they get offended, like, oh, you're rude, or you're a bee, or why are you so mean, or whatever. You didn't do anything wrong, right? You enforcing your boundaries and you energetically having what works for you and what doesn't is absolutely nothing wrong. It's just that society has conditioned women to believe that when you have those boundaries and those things for yourself, it's a bee, you're being a bee. But in reality, you're just of the divine feminine. You're connected to your darkest energy when you uphold those boundaries. So another thing connected to the feminine is cats and black cats. Black cats used to be known to be connected to the spiritual realm. They used to be known as basically guidance of the spiritual realm, to be able to help and guide us. And I have this funny little thing that I always say, and I always say, cats are feminine energy and dogs are masculine energy. Because even when you look at how dogs act and what dogs require and their moods and their, just their neediness, and how you look at cats and how they're aloof and just minding their business, and they come when they want to and they ignore you when they want to, and just like the whole energy, I swear it's just like the physical energy of a masculine and the physical energy of a feminine. It's just so funny to me. And I always say, like, to myself, I'll be like, a woman or a man that has a cat is very capable of having a container for the feminine or being connected to the feminine. And then people who don't like cats don't have a container for feminine energy. And I know this is funny and it's just like a little thing that I say, and this is not like, I've never learned this to be factual, but that's kind of how I look at it. Because I'm like, for men to say like they don't like a cat and the energy of a cat is like close to the energy of a raw feminine being is just a little interesting to me. So I just wanted to toss that in there. Then the last thing that I wanted to throw in this video is that the feminine is connected to the moon, the lunar energy. The moon has different phases. Like the moon doesn't just stay in one consistent way how the sun does, which is connected to masculine energy. The moon has several different phases, and is also connected to water, is also connected to the ocean. It's all the same thing, guys. Like, it's all just connected. The seasons is all connected, and it's also connected to feminine energy. So the same way that the moon has different phases and different energies during those phases, and it's said that you practice and have different rituals depending on what the phase the moon is in, that's also similar to the feminine and her cycles and her waves of emotions. Because as a woman, you know that literally every week of the month we have a different emotion and a different feeling, and there's just always differentness, but it all is kind of centered around our menstrual cycles. With being in this, very masculine society, we're taught that we're supposed to go no matter what and hustle no matter what, and push towards success no matter what or how you're feeling. But in reality, the feminine way of doing things is to kind of structure your life around your cycle, your menstrual cycle, because you'll have a period in your monthly energy where you have more energy and like this burst of like, oh, I want to get things done, which is essentially connected to the full moon, and like that's when you are more active with like creating things. And then when you're more connected to your menstrual cycle, and which is known as like the new moon cycle, that's when you're meant to relax and rest, and that's when you are said to receive your most intuitive downloads, and like you go inwards and do your inner work and stuff. And while you're releasing during your menstrual, you're not just releasing physically, you're releasing emotionally and spiritually. And I did want to add that having a painful cycle and having an irregular cycle is not healthy. I do want to put that out there, guys. So if you guys are having like a painful menstrual cycle, an irregular menstrual cycle, there are ways to heal that. That's just a lot of trauma stored up in your body, and it also can be related to the things that you're eating. So just wanted to put that out there. And also, I don't want to like get into this because this is a whole other topic, but things like birth control and things that kind of force your menstrual cycle to get into this schedule, and even worse, take your menstrual cycle away so you're not having a regular menstrual cycle every month, is so detrimental to the feminine, into your health, into your spiritual health, not just your physical health. That sums up this video. And yes, like I love diving into the dark feminine. Like I don't know, it just makes me want to just live on Halloween, just live in Halloween every day for the rest of my life. Like if I could just connect to Halloween every day, just really just, what's so funny, I want to share like a little personal thing that I find to be very, very funny. So I have always been so interested in horror movies, horror documentaries, just like the energy of like really weird stuff. And and if you are a woman and you relate to that, let me know, because I've heard a lot of people say that like women love serial killer documentaries and stuff, and I genuinely feel like that's connected to the void, like to the darkest essence of the feminine. Because since we are chaos, and since we have this natural connection to the spiritual realm and things that are unknown, that if I'm being really honest, it scares men. Like the unknown and like the spiritual stuff and like the spiritual supernatural stuff, it kind of scares men because they aren't able to control it. So that's why, women that have like control issues and they get really worked up when they aren't able to control, that's fear, because they're in their masculine. The masculine is afraid of what they can't tame and control. I just find it very funny that I was always super, super like into horror movies and stuff like that. And I watched them as if like it's a regular thing. It's just so weird. And then even anti-heroes. So like when you watch certain movies and there's like the hero and the anti-hero, I was always more drawn to the anti-hero, which is so funny. And I questioned myself for a while, like, yo, is this an Aquarius thing, or is this like like why am I so into watching like the anti stuff? And I honestly feel like it's just this yearning for the feminine, the yearning for like the reintegration to what is known best to us, which is that wildness and that connection to like a structurelessness, if that makes sense, a structurelessness. So yes, that does end this video. So I love you guys so much, Thank you guys for tuning into this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I loved making it. Like, I want to start making more of these types of videos. Like, I like just getting into this stuff. So yes, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.